I just didn't want anybody to think that this guy was in charge. Okay, let's start this with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, that's right, we're on.
It was the Gettysburg Address that I almost started the meeting with on Tuesday. 407 years ago. Sorry. Good morning. I am Candace T. Payne. The T stands for the. I take it seriously. I am the chairman this year. To my left is Commissioner Tom Rawl.
Good morning.
And our CAO, Roger Balls. And the amazing Jenny Chambers. I knew that. Jenny Chambers.
Well, you got the amazing part right anyway.
She really is. She can get more done than anybody I've ever run across. And then we have Andy Hunthausen, also a commissioner, and Officer Bragg, who is here on behalf of the sheriff, I believe.
Yep.
Good morning. And that's all we got for, okay. Make sure if you're here, please sign up on the sign-in sheet and give us your contact information if you will have one. There's agendas right here if you want an agenda, so you can see what all we're gonna do. I left my cheat sheet on my desk, so I'm not sure if I'm following the right order or not. Okay, introductions report. Sheriff's report is up first. Deputy Bragg.
All right, I don't have a whole lot to report. Spoke with Devin Taylor, the Augusta deputy. He didn't have a whole lot to pass along either. On the sheriff's office side, we got 3 new hires. They're going to be starting up here in a couple of weeks. One former HPD guy, a former Helena Fire guy, and then a deputy down in Missouri who's moving up here and wanted to join us. So we got some good candidates that are coming in to fill some spots. Our Lincoln deputy, Jeremiah Steiner, is going to be getting replaced here pretty soon with our permanent Lincoln guy, Chance Hill. Chance Hill lived up in Augusta for a while before he joined our office. So we've moved the local guy there as far as got to have some connections. So you'll be seeing him around, I think it's end of March is when he gets done with his probationary period, and he'll be moving up here. So he's looking forward to it, and you'll have a new face.
He will be here all the time.
He will be in Lincoln. Yeah, no worries. He'll be in Lincoln, but you'll see him around here on days that he's working. So I'm sure he'll be coming around and introducing himself just like all the other ones have. But that's really all we got. We're just getting done with all the holidays and continuing on with our everyday stuff. So I'm here for any questions anybody might have. So
Any question, Tom? Any question, Andy? Is there any public comment?
Thank you for your service.
yeah, thank you. You guys make it worthwhile. So
Thank you, Captain Bragg. Next on our list is the Public Works Report. Jenny?
The amazing.
The amazing Jenny Chambers.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, for the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Lithart County Public Works Director. A couple updates for everybody today. One is we've just been busy with snow removal. Our seasonal hire is on for the winter to help Lewis out. His name is George, and so you might see him around as well. But yeah, he's available to assist covering this large country up here for snow removal. So we're in good shape there. We've had one vacancy kind of a little bit in Lincoln area, and so we've been having to backfill that with some of the Helena staff up in Lincoln. We have the primary district equipment operator, but our assistant up there in Lincoln country is out on medical right now, so we're trying to kind of backfill in that location. And then we're down to equipment operators in Helena because 2 folks retired. So we're lean down in the Helena area, but we're certainly got coverage across the county, and so we're in good shape. But just wanted to share that information with you guys that we're juggling all the different vacant positions and moving forward. Valley Sand and Gravel helped us secure 32,000 tons of gravel that's been crushed and ready up here this winter. That's going to be available for us to work on the Sun Canyon project this summer, spring-summer timeframe, so that'll be the lower portion, 6-mile portion of Sun Canyon Road. That'll happen spring-summer timeframe depending upon our workload, but we have the material now crushed and ready for that project. Wanted to give an update on a couple of the bridges up in Augusta Country. One is the Augusta Clemens Bridge, the House Bill 11 hearing. We've submitted for that grant application through the Montana Coal Endowment Program. The hearing is scheduled for right now, January 17th. It's the packages in House Bill 11. The project was ranked the #1 out of the 6 projects. So it was ranked and scored well, which is a good sign for potentially staying above the funding line, but we still have to go through the process. The legislators can hear all of the projects. They make a determination of what gets funded, what doesn't, and then we have to see where that is come end of session in order to start that project in July. So, but it's good news. It's ranked really well, and we're tracking that on our end. The other one is on Burtail Road over Flat Creek. On Thursday, work has begun with our consultant engineer, but on Thursday, the commissioners finalized and executed the task order with Great West Engineering. So we have a contract in place with Great West Engineering. It's $54,500. It's to do several different tasks, and for those of you that are interested, I would be more than happy to share with you a copy of the task order 102 that kind of lays out the detail of the scope of services for that bridge. And this is the first step in the process. The task 1 is a site visit and topographic survey, which some of that pieces have already been completed. The task 2 is to evaluate a temporary crossing. As I've indicated in past meetings, we were looking to see if there's a way that we can do a temporary detour crossing of some fashion or some nature while we're waiting for funding and the full design of the project to getting through all the environmental permitting activities, which take several years. But task 2 is basically the temporary crossing to evaluate what those alternatives are, and then still have to coordinate with the permitting agencies on what might be allowed. We're making progress on that. Task 3 is the legal land survey and exhibits associated with the survey. We have to stay within our Course County right-of-way, or if we have to go outside of that, what does that look like from either a temporary construction agreement with a neighboring landowner, or it's a permanent acquisition of right-of-way. That's part of this effort that we have to move forward with. Task 4 is a wetland delineation and reporting. Not only do you have to worry about the hydraulics and the flow of Flat Creek, we also have to do a wetland delineation, and there are wetlands in this area on Burtail Flat Creek in order to avoid any kind of disturbance. If we do have to disturb wetlands, you have to have a mitigation plan associated with that. So it's another step in the process, which is frustrating, but certainly something we have to do from a regulatory standpoint. Task 5 is kind of the meat and potatoes of the task order, which is at the tail end of the process, is the type, the size, and the location of a potential future bridge. What that permanent bridge would be. As I indicated, the one currently now is a very large span, but if we can find a different place to locate the bridge and maybe do some road configurations to have a different location of crossing Flat Creek, maybe you can get by with a cheaper option that still meets the needs of what's required. So if you have a shorter span bridge, it's not going to cost as much as a larger span bridge. So what type of bridge, what size is needed, and then what location would that look like moving forward. So that's certainly underway with that end. So we're making progress on that, and certainly we'd be more than happy to visit with anybody after the meeting if you've got specific questions and provide you the task order. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention was this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we have our Solid Waste Augusta District Board meeting here at 1 o'clock, which is our quarterly meeting for solid waste. So, and Lloyd is one of the new members of the Augusta Solid Waste District, and Brian is on that board as well. So they are familiar with those activities going on with solid waste. But that's what I had today, Madam Chair.
I have a couple of questions, Jenny. Clemens Bridge in House Bill 11. I know that particular bridge has personal significance to some of the attendees here today. Would it help if they showed up at the hearing, or do they need to call Zach Worth and, you know, tell him that we need to, I mean, would it make a difference, or is it already pretty much a done deal?
Madam Chair, no, I mean, certainly, the legislatures would, you know, any folks that have projects of their interest should be contacting their legislatures on, projects that are bills that are their concern. And so there's, on House Bill 11, you can look at the long-term appropriation committee, and I believe it's Senator Fitzgerald is the chairman of that committee. So you could contact any of the committee members, to provide information. You can submit testimony electronically as well if you couldn't make it to Helena to provide that information. But they could also reach out to their area representatives and ask that they contact those folks to provide support. So this is the first step in the process. They have the hearing, and then from there, the committee makes the recommendations, then it goes to each of the floors, the Senate floor and the House floor, before final adoption.
I hate when that happens. I cut, is there a remark about anything to do with the Clemens Bridge? Oh, last month, we had, Zach Worth and Bruce
Butch Gillespie.
Gillespie, wasn't it,
Yeah.
Butch Gillespie?
Senator Butch Gillespie, that's it. And I mean, would his assistance be, would you like it too, or?
Yeah,
I mean,
and-
these are people who vote should contact the legislators.
And Madam Chair, I looked at the membership of the committee earlier this week, and I do believe Gillespie is on the Long Range Appropriations Committee. So
Oh.
that would be a good contact for these folks.
Hint, hint. Okay, okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about is, we've got this bridge problem. It's a huge problem, and we're starting out with step one, and you've got 6 or 7 other steps. So what happens if we don't go through the steps correctly? If we don't dot all the i's and cross all the t's, what could happen if we start building that bridge without going through all these steps?
Well, Madam Chair, you know, the number of steps is gonna depend upon the options, and I think what we're trying to do is come up with the best preferred options to move forward. So you might choose to go one direction, and another direction might be more cost effective. So if you just rush out today and build a bridge, it's potentially gonna cost you more, from a budgetary standpoint. The other is just, we would probably get into environmental and regulatory challenges where the
You're
Army
talking
Corps of
those damn
Engineers or
lawyers.
Fish, Life and Parks or somebody would provide notice to the county. That would be a cease and desist notice because we weren't meeting environmental conditions. So it's gonna take longer if you don't follow the necessary steps. So it's gonna cost you more, it potentially could take longer, and we could have legal challenges associated with that. In addition, it would probably jeopardize our other projects as well, because we're gonna be on a radar for a county that doesn't comply with the steps that we need to take.
Thank you, Jenny. You're so smart. Okay, any questions, Andy? I mean, Commissioner? Any questions? Commissioner Rawl?
No.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
I have a question. You didn't give,
Why don't you stand up? We are videotaping this, so you have to come up there and say your name. And again, we gotta jump
You
through
gotta
all
take your
hoops.
picture.
That's right. Gotta put it on the post office.
I'm Joe Barrett. I'm directly affected
Yes.
by the Flat Creek Bridge. One question, you said you gotta go through step 2 before you can think about a detour. What kind of timeline are we talking? I listened to the meeting yesterday. It sounded like the engineering. I'll back up. Kevin Horn last week told me, or last meeting told me, that they were asking the engineering firm to get the information as quick as they could as far as a detour. Have you got any timeline about a detour?
Okay. Yeah.
I've got some more. Can I just wait here?
Well, why don't you just go through each of your questions and then Jenny can answer.
Okay. My other question is for you and Mr. Hunthausen. I know Mr. Rolfe, and I appreciate that he drove down and looked at the bridge several times. Have you other two been to the bridge, looked at the bridge?
Yes.
Yes.
On your way home today, if you would drive down and look at the ice on it and see the conditions that we're trying to get through, I would appreciate it.
I looked at it yesterday, fairly interesting to get through there.
We will.
Excuse me.
We can agree, we'll make that
Okay.
side trip. I don't think we've got anything else.
Another thing, watching on the news lately, the devastating fires in California, and hearing the liability that the politicians down there might have because some of their inaction, makes me wonder, when you have a bridge blocked so ambulances can't get through, fire trucks can't get through, God forbid that it happened, but if we had a disaster down there, have you guys thought about the liability that you possibly could have on a bridge that the commission was informed just about 50 years ago that it needed replaced? It's something to think about. As I've already told you, we depend on the bridge to feed cattle. There's people live past the bridge that depend on the bridge to get back and forth to town, to get propane. I don't know what Carol's gonna do for propane, because you can't get a propane truck in there. I don't know what the Dearborn Ranch is doing. Watching the meeting yesterday, it seems as if the sentiment is a truck crossed the bridge, so we have to close it. I would think the person driving that truck was a hardworking young man that made a mistake. He probably should have got fined. There was no, as far as I know, no effort to figure out who it was or to do anything about it. I heard on the recording yesterday, these people are crossing the bridge. What did they expect? This Native American truck driver who crossed the bridge might not appreciate his people be referred to these people. It's something to think about. It's on tape.
I believe it. Might I remark, I believe the people I was referring to as ranchers like you, I figured you'd be offended.
I didn't cross the bridge.
Okay.
I
Someone-
didn't cross the bridge.
Okay. Are there any other issues? Jenny, would you want to respond, please?
Commissioners, Mr. Barrett, so let me go through the questions that you have and try to address them to the best of our ability. The first one I'm gonna start with is the weather, and the challenges it is with the ice on the particular bridge. I wanted to share something that I heard this week for our, it's our Wolf Creek District Operator, the one that's clearing the road on Birdtail Road. During Christmas, he came up we had a potluck around the holidays, and we talked about the bridge, we talked about the importance of making sure snow removal, and we talked about the coordination of giving him the 1-ton pickup truck because it might need to be needed to clear snow off on that location versus using the large snowplow truck, because it's not gonna work on that particular bridge area. So we deployed that up to Wolf Creek, we got that in place. He said he was gonna do everything possible to make sure that that is clear to the best of his ability. And so this last snowstorm that we received, he was out there with the big snowplow. Of course, it was starting to drift in on the serpentine locations, And he decided, instead of running back to Wolf Creek to get the 1-ton pickup truck, which was gonna take too much time, he got out and hand shoveled it. So I think that is above and beyond what I would ask any of my district equipment operators to do. They don't get paid necessarily to do that. There's challenges associated with that. They're trying to cover a very large geographical area between Wolf Creek and Craig and Cascade and this location that he went above and beyond. So it may be a little icy, but there's only so much we can do with the weather and the concerns, and we're doing the best we can to keep that location cleared. So just wanted to share that story with you guys, and hope you can pass it along, because I was pretty proud of them for stepping up and doing that type of work. On as far as contacting and making sure that we had other options in place, MDT is a regulatory agency over the county. They provided notice to
MDT is?
Montana Department of Transportation. They do the bridge inspections, they have the motor carrier services, they have the equipment to pull over trucks that look like they're oversized loads, do those inspections. They are the ticketing agency in order to provide fines or enforcement activities associated with motor carrier services. They are aware of who this was because they have pictures of the situation. They notified the county and says, you have to find a way to enforce the load limit on that bridge, or you have to close it. Those were the options that they provided to us. If somebody has ideas of how we could enforce that bridge and make sure there's no heavy loads on that bridge going across that, I would be more than happy to listen to those ideas and explore them to see if we can find a way to get that. But a propane tank, if they can't get through now because they're an oversized load or potentially of doing that, they wouldn't be able to cross at that time as well. So we really are focused on a permanent solution and a detour option to move forward. The time frame on the detour is imminent. We met with the consulting engineering firm on Thursday afternoon. The commissioners signed the task order Thursday morning. They've been already making progress on knowing that we were gonna get this task order in place. We talked about the options on Thursday afternoon, and we're exploring those now. One step we have to take with that conversation is we think we can span the ordinary high water mark. If we span the ordinary high water mark, which is the CFS flow of Flat Kill Creek, and we can stay out of that flow channel, then we don't need to have permitting associated with that. So that's one step that if we can do the work, stay out of the ordinary high flow, that reduces the permitting options we have to move forward with. We are gonna potentially impact wetlands. So as I indicated, we have to contact the Army Corps engineers, find out if they would allow us to look at this location, which has the less extent wetland impact that we possibly can cause with a temporary solution. We might have to put some geotextile fabric down, do some other mitigation efforts, but if they're gonna allow us to do that, that's what we wanna move forward with in order to get that detour in place. If that's a no, then we have to go to a different step in a different direction because of that alternative. So one, we have to check with the Army Corps engineer on the timeline of the detour. The second is we don't have a right-of-way access on where this detour would need to go. So we have to coordinate with the landowners in the area and get an agreement with the landowner in order to do a construction activity on their property, even as a temporary situation. So both of those we're exploring those and have started conversations. And we're hoping that will move forward. If both of those are yes, and we're able to move that direction on both of those, Kevin Horn and the road department would like to do that work this winter. When the ground is frozen, when there's gonna be less ground disturbance and stormwater runoff concerns and issues, I think we have the material available with the borrowed material. We have some material in-house in Helena that we think we could repurpose for that project. We're still looking at the budgetary items on getting what the temporary span bridge looks like and that type of stuff. But we're hoping that it would be within the next 2 to 6 months, depending upon which direction those things are headed. So I hate to provide timelines because you never know what any of those different options are gonna provide you as far as answers or new options in place. But that's what we're really aiming for. Mr. Barrett and commissioners, that's what we're trying to achieve.
Jenny, the serpentine layout, if those barriers were farther apart, did keep the longer rigs out, but allow a little more access for, like an ambulance. So, I don't know, they're 15 feet apart now. If they were 20 feet apart, would that make a difference, or that's not an option?
Madam Chair, the question was raised at the last meeting. The road department and the regulatory folks looked at that, but Kevin Horn and others in the equipment shop are not a fan of changing that superintendent based upon trying to keep that enforcement right now. But I think we just keep an eye on it, see where things go, and in the future that may or may not change.
Would it be helpful if you knew the names of the landowners on both sides of the creek? So you could have talked to them early on about, are they going to raise a protest about putting the bridge on their land?
Madam Chair, we've had started conversations with those landowners already.
Okay, so you are in contact.
Yes.
And they are being cooperative.
So far, what they've asked for are schematics and the general layout and design of where their land may be impacted, which is what we got on Thursday that has been shared with them.
Okay, is the county gonna have to buy a right-of-way? Is that gonna cost us more money?
Commissioner Payne, I think it's too early to tell right now on that, because I think we just started those preliminary conversations. What we've done in the past is we've had a temporary construction agreement with those landowners that allows us the use of that property on a temporary basis, and then provides some conditions about what we do with the fencing, what we do with the restoration activities after the project has been completed, you know, tear the road back up, reseed it, what that looks like. So usually there's a formal agreement that provides the temporary use during the temporary construction activities. That would be just for the detour, of course. If in the future we have to do something for a permanent structure, that is probably gonna take some right-of-way acquisition on some property, or trade-offs. Maybe you could do some swaps. They take our right-of-way, we take their land that we need, and kind of do a swap type situation, but it's way too early to tell on that. But for the detour portion, which is what we're focused on right now, both paths are going on a parallel basis. We're focused on the detour, but the engineering firm is also working on that permanent solution. We think we can maybe negotiate a temporary construction agreement that would allow us to have the use of that property on an interim basis.
Thank you, Director Chambers. Thanks for your good hard work. Commissioner, do you have any more questions on this issue?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Do you have any more questions on this issue? All right, thank you, Director Chambers. Forest Service is
Nobody's here.
nobody. Well, come on, he's
For the
reporting.
Forest Service. I mean.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The public health report, those folks chickened out, they couldn't come today. I told them we like it when they show up, and they just recognize there's more to county government than roads and solid waste. Is there any other business we should be discussing?
Madam Chair, could I take just a minute?
Certainly.
Thanks. So good morning, everyone. I'm Roger Baltz. I'm the administrative officer of the county. And I just thought I'd give you a quick report today on a couple of other items that are going on in Lewis and Clark County that might be of interest to you here in Augusta. So every November, the commissioners go through a process with myself and our leadership at the county where we develop priority focus areas, the things that we want to concentrate on that inform our budget process. And it's a very important process we go through because we use that information to build the budget and identify what we want to spend our resources on. And listening to Jenny Chambers give her report to you today, just a couple of things occurred to me. One of the priorities that the commissioners have had for many years is this concept of partnerships. And so we work very hard to develop partnerships in Lewis and Clark County. And our Public Works Department in particular recently, just this week, had a couple of things that reflect that. One of them was that the county did something unusual. Jenny Chambers and her staff worked with the city of East Helena, and the county commissioners approved for us to take one of the county snow plows. One of our snow plows, and worked with the city of East Helena who wanted to obtain that snow plow, which we felt had ended its useful life for us. We had been budgeting to replace it. And anyway, a long story short was, the commissioners allowed us to allow East Helena to purchase that snow plow and use it for their needs. So again, just a sign of a partnership. The other thing, the Forest Service was mentioned just a moment ago too. So Kevin Horn, our road supervisor, just yesterday brought forward an agreement between the county and the Forest Service for roads that they would work on and roads that we would work on together in partnership in Lewis and Clark County to make sure those roads are taken care of. I got that right, didn't I, Jenny? Yeah. So it was a master agreement that the commissioners approved. So just wanted to let you all know that this idea of looking for partnerships anywhere we can is something that the county really tries to pay attention to. And I also thought that I would mention to you today that, I'm sure you all know this, but every 2 years the state legislature comes together. And the state legislature is meeting now. And they're going to be meeting for 90 days. And here in Lewis and Clark County, we really try to pay attention to what is occurring at the state legislature. You just heard about some hearings that are going to be happening where programs are going to be discussed for bills to be passed to provide funding. And that has a direct impact on counties like ours as we attempt to find money, leverage money, and use money that's available through the state to help our county to go along with the other revenue sources we have. So that's a big deal, and it's going to be important to us to pay attention to over the next couple of months. And then finally, everyone, I thought I would just mention that here in Augusta, this year, what we call our fiscal year, which is not a calendar year, but our fiscal year, which goes from July to June, we did budget, and the commissioners authorized $22,850 for electrical improvements to be made to the Augusta Rodeo Arena facility, to the American Legion. And so the status of that project is that work has not been done yet. The funds have not been expended yet, but they have been approved for them to move forward with that project for that. And where it is right now, I got a phone call while I was driving here this morning, and there is a floodplain permit that's needed for that project, and it's awaiting for that permit to be issued. So that's what's going on here in Augusta with that project. Madam Chair, I just wanted to mention those few quick things. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Roger.
Yep.
Thank you, Roger. Tom, Commissioner Rolfe.
Yes, I got a notice that, there's going to be a little activity going on with the local, Augusta Area Historical Society. Anybody here that's involved with that?
Vice President.
Very good, good. Well, I understand you're having a meeting on Friday, Sunday?
Sunday, 3
Sunday
o'clock,
afternoon?
presentation, yeah.
Okay.
Right here.
And I think we should maybe hear about that if you, let people know about it. Do it.
Thanks, Tom. My name's Brian Moody, President of the Seniors, Vice President of the Historical Society on the Waste Management Board. Our lease was up on the museum, and the youth don't want to renew that lease. And so the museum's looking for a new place to go, and the reason that we're having the meeting here Sunday is to see if the community still wants to have a museum before we move forward and look for monies to do different. The youth wants to take over that building that the youth owns next to the museum. It's a really old building, and it really shouldn't be used for the youth. The youth should build a new building and leave the museum in there, my thoughts. But we're gonna have a meeting Sunday and see where we're at. Go ahead.
Just to help educate me, is there a formal name of the youth? I mean, what's the name of this group that's kicking you out? The
Augusta Youth Center, I believe.
Augusta Youth.
What is the name?
Augusta Youth Center.
Okay. Okay, and
That's all, that's all we know with them.
do they have like a board of directors or?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and how many people are on that board?
5 people.
Okay, and so you've been communicating with them?
Actually, they told us for the past 3 years that they weren't gonna kick us out of the building.
Oh, but-
But about 3 months ago, they sent us a termination notice. And that they don't wanna renew the lease.
okay.
Which took 3 years of money earnings that we could have gone after or tried to figure out something. And they did extend the lease out. Now, our lease ended January 1st, I believe, this year. So they extended that out till September 30th. In their paperwork, they said September 31st, but there's not a 31st.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're trying to get out in front of it.
We wanna make sure that the town wants a museum,
Yeah, and if they don't,
and then we're gonna go from there.
excellent. Thank you.
And we're kinda maybe tentatively looking at several different locations in town, but there's not a lot of places to go. And there's plenty of places that's in the floodplain.
Isn't that?
Yesterday, I ran out to the bridge, Bird Tail. And that is pretty tight getting in and out of there, and I understand that. But if you can't drive anything over there that weighs more than 10,000 pounds, then. So I drove my pickup across it yesterday, and it happens to weigh 10,000 pounds. So had I had a trailer on the back or any of that, I would have been over the restricted limit. So I don't like the bridge deal either, and I don't like the bureaucracy, and I don't like how long it takes to do everything. And seeing where I'm standing up here, we've had problems for 5.5 years with Rocky Mountain, which is our next door neighbor right here,
Rocky Mountain.
the apartments.
Oh, okay, thank you.
About 10 days ago, Deborah and I, my wife, heard that there was death threats for us from the apartment people. One of them's an employee that works for Rocky Mountain. They're supposed to be getting this handled, and we'll see. Hopefully they don't get one of us killed in the community over this. The law knows about it, Leo knows about it, the deputies know about it, and so I didn't know if Andy knew about it.
Madam Chair,
Go for it.
I do know about it, Brian, and I just spoke with Lori Lattis about it, and my understanding is she told me that she was setting up a meeting with you and Susan Goodkeesey.
So we had the meeting, and
Up here.
they're supposed to do some evictions, but that will take 30 days. Meanwhile, we live next door. I mean, we were told to get restraining orders. Really? Really? And this has all been on us. We've provided all the information with the apartments. And we've been stonewalled and stonewalled and stonewalled.
Now, what do you mean stonewall?
Told that they don't even have to follow the rules.
Who told you that?
That would be Liz Mosgrove.
And who does she work?
And she claims that she didn't say that. But that's fine, I have a journal on everything that's gone on with the apartment.
Okay,
So,
all right.
and I wasn't even gonna bring it up, but I got up here, so I ran my lips.
This is public comment, and you're part of the public.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I'm supposed to say, the next meeting will be on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025. I hope we have a little better attendance that day, and I hope they'll bring Valentine's cookies. Now, we have public comment on any matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda above. And when you make your remarks, trot right up there, say your name.
I just wanted to do a little more on the museum. Actually, that's part of the museum bunch too. And the
Name your
main thing
name,
we don't want to do is cause any division in this town.
state your name.
This is Carol Fector,
Thank you.
and we don't want to cause any division in this town. To us, that building, which those of us that all grew up here, including Joe, that was a, a community building. like what this was called a community center, but it was a community building. That land, building and everything, and all the money to put it there was done by the whole community. And then later, when we had the flood, that building was in disrepair and falling in. The youth didn't have the money or interest to fix it up, so the museum took it over, because we had the volunteer labor, and they did, and we figure we put in $200,000.
225,000 plus.
Into that building to put it back to the state it was in. Now, where I'm going with this is we have to decide what the community wants here, because some of the people that have donated the money, the building and the stuff in the past are very upset about this. What you have is you have a change of boards, like when you come in. You have a present board that has gotten in, that part of them may be from here, part of them not, there may be any youth in the future. You get into servicing right now a group of kids, 20 plus kids from the age of 6 to 12. Our concern with this is what does the community want for the future? We do not believe that that building will hold for what they want to make out of it. That's an old building, serves very well as a museum. We figure they're going to take it over in a few years, find out they can't afford it and what they'll have done to it then, but in the meantime, to go and try to build a brand new building for a museum, yes, we all need a museum and stuff. They've made the remark, we're just storing old stuff and who cares? Well, some people do care, and some of our kids will care. So the point is, what this meeting is not to cause a fight, it's to feel what does the town want, because this is who you're gonna expect to support it, the town. And so we don't have a place to move. We've been told before, you flood stuff, you go in there, okay. The Landbone Lace, those are all 300,000, 400,000, you gotta put another 100,000 in. Where's that money? So the point, what happened here is we went and they led us along, including having us be part of meetings and looking into doing grants together to get a new building for them, which would have worked better because we said that's a Band-Aid for their needs. The older building served us better and we'd all work together as a town for a new building for them. Okay, that was fine to the point of getting engineers and everything, and we got the diagrams. This is supposed to be a new building behind the existing museum, take over the part of the wading pool, on part of the land they do. One of the things when this stuff was done many years ago, it was put in what was called AYC, which is Augusta Youth. But like I say, that is now controlled by the current board. And that's one of the sad things is when Susan Geesey used to tell us, if you don't run for stuff, you lose control.
Absolutely.
And so you sit there and you don't pay attention until it's taken over by somebody, to us, making it a very narrow, self-serving group. That might be pointed, but I have grandkids and we have kids here. I have both needs. This is just like I'm from the museum. Right now, trying to put something as a brand new building, we're competing with the school. Because the school is trying to get together the money to finish the track and this stuff. And so, how are we supposed to come together and do a community fundraiser right now when the school's sending out stuff saying, please help us finish this? It's putting us in direct competition. The timeline of this, when you have that, to me, it's the Augusta Sports Club, is what they should be called. And they can serve kids in what they're doing right now in these smaller areas until we figure out how to come up with the money and the community the size of Augusta to have something for everybody. And new buildings, to me, just don't make fiscal sense unless we have one of these big ranchers that wants to put out a whole bunch of money. And so this is where some of this that's coming is being realistic, being fiscal, supporting our school. After these remarks are made about them only, handling a small amount of kids, they came about, okay, we're gonna come back and, we're gonna put in all these sewing classes, we're gonna put all this stuff in, and we're gonna go all the way through the high school. That's putting in to direct competition with the things we already have here in the school. And they want basketball and they want everything. Well, you know, Centerville did that, and what they finally did is they got the school to put a building alongside the school, which would have come in our taxes, but so they had an extra gym for a practice gym. So you didn't compete and have all these different organizations with these buildings that only did things, and then the Augusta Youth thing charges their kids to go there. So it isn't like it's a for free thing like the school. To me, I think the school comes first. Then I think the community has to decide what they want to support. And right now, they're moving stuff out into the sheds of ours. That we're storing stuff out there from the basement. We got given a deadline to be out by 12/31 out of the basement. We spent Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and New Year's out moving stuff.
All our hours are donated. Nobody asks
Yeah,
for
we
anything.
did
We
that during
donate our
holidays.
gas, our
It's
time.
unfair deadlines, and then 3 months ago, they come out with, okay, we decided now that we're gonna change, and we terminate your lease. There's no way to go that amount of time. So, it's just a matter of, what does the community want? We're tired of trying to butt our heads against the wall, to put all this stuff in storage. Brian offered some as containers, some of the stuff we've got offered the building out there, some of this stuff in containers, because of mice and everything, we're gonna have to ask the people to take them back. We can't store it, we can't move that kink wagon, won't fit in anything. It wouldn't fit in any of the buildings we've looked at here, that thing is tall. That building was built on the back of the museum just for that. And we built it, we should take it all out of there. We spent over $200,000 on that building to get it where it is. They offered us nothing for that. We tried to get $200,000 back out of them to get out of there, no. They just came back with $10,000 so they could keep the furnaces and the things in there, very nice of them. But all I'm saying, just so you understand why there's some little bit of disagreement, I think there's a lot of stuff people don't understand, and even possibly some of them on the board, is what does the community want, and what does the community want to fund, and what will we go to others, whether the county or anybody else for, and what the whole thing is on this, and even for, like the county to say, well, no, we'd never fund anything more Augusta, we're already at our limits of what we do, or we'd help the school. What else would you, we had a grant writer that was agreed to come here, and Susan Giese had lined that up, and she's helping with the museum. She came, and we were gonna get together and try to write up a grant, and it's gonna cost $10,000, I think, to start. We both agreed to put up our parts, and then the youth backed out. So now we're still pushing that to look at a grant for something for the future. But to me, our timeline is very unrealistic for the things that we have to store unless people just wanna come take it back or don't care. But we can't do it physically, so.
There's nothing available for grants until
Come
27.
up and state your name, please.
There's no grants
State your name.
available. Brian Moody, sorry.
Thank you. Gotta have this record.
There's no grants available until 27. We had invested in that building $225,000 north of that, and we asked the youth for $100,000. So we didn't ask for that much. We were told by members in the community that that's what we could pay in rent, because we paid very little in rent. When the Historical Society took over the building, it was just about a fire exercise. It was in that bad a shape, and it needed an incredible amount of work. The amount of work that the museum's Historical Society has put into that building today would probably be $400,000.
The other thing is, we became without water last year. Basically, they shut the museum down because until we're out of there, they're not gonna fix it. And so we have no water, we have to take jugs of water in to even have the few things we have there. So basically, we cannot operate until next September, we're basically done right now. We haul jugs of water to flush the toilets or to do anything. We've got some things scheduled in the future, but that's why, like even that meeting on it has to be here. There are no bathrooms.
hauling water.
Yes. So it's just a bad deal that should have been a meeting a long time ago to come together before it came to this, because now it's what do we do? But that's where we're at, that's what the meeting's about, and people can decide what they wanna do, and basically what they wanna fund.
Thank you for your remarks.
Okay.
I would
Thanks,
strongly suggest that you make personal phone calls to the board members to make sure that both sides are at this meeting.
We've been to their meetings.
I know, but I'm just saying, make sure they are personally invited to your meeting. Just, it may be a surprise to you, but this is not the only community with this
They
kind
have
of
been invited.
Okay, I'm talking now. We have another community in our county, and they've got a group, and it's the old school people that have been there for many years, and now new people have moved in, and they want it done this way, and these people want it done this way, and they don't talk to each other. They're so mad about it, they cannot get together and meet. So, we've seen this before, yes, and I'm very proud that you are trying to hold a meeting, trying to bring them together. Communication is the key. Any other public comment?
Just, I've got some extra copies for any of you that haven't, would like them about the museum and the meeting coming up. So, if anybody wants that, it's available here.
Okay. Is there anything else I'm supposed to be doing? Okay, well, there's things we can fix, and things we can't fix. All of us are in this together. We all pay taxes. We all try to make a difference in our communities. But we don't always do things the same way. And we do the best we can. So thank you for attending this meeting and your efforts at keeping us as a community that works together. I had the misfortune to spend a week in Minnesota for the holidays. And it reminded me how fortunate we are to live here where we have these people, and their problems, your problems are not the same as your problems. But despite that, for generations, we have worked together to make this a community. My grandparents